being left-handed here. We'll do it. One has to celebrate the small successes in life. Good morning, everybody. My name is Matthew Heil. My pronouns are he, him, and y'all. I'm a volunteer host today, and I'm grateful we can gather together today in the spirit of shared values and fellowship. Whether you're a longtime member or first-time visitor, here in person or joining us on our live stream, we welcome you and are happy that you've joined us today. We are particularly fortunate to be in this community together. For me in particular, being among my peeps in these deeply troubling times is really important. So our time together is not interrupted. Please take a moment to silence your devices. Put them in airplane mode, turn them off. If you don't know how, hold them up, and someone who does will tap on your shoulder and show you. Last week, despite the reminder, we had a number of phones go off, so let's try for none this week, okay? I have not been successful at that yet in hosting, so I'm still looking for a success there. So let's get started. Our musical guest today is Dan Rubright, who is performing 3 original songs today, beginning with Cowboy Cafe. Coffee. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that this morning. It's always a delight. Each week, we read the Ethical Education for Youth core values as a way to bring us together and remind you of our shared commitments. During the school year, we have one of our young people read them, but the program is on summer break, so I will read them today. So imagine me as a 10-year-old, okay? Hard to think of, isn't it? Every person is important and unique. Every person deserves to be treated fairly and kindly. I can learn from everybody. I am part of this earth. I cherish it and all life upon it. I learn from the world around us by using my senses, mind, and feelings. I'm a member of the world community, which depends on the cooperation of all people for peace and justice. I can learn from the past to build for the future. I am free to question. I am free to choose what we believe, and I accept responsibility for our choices and actions. I strive to live my values. It's now time for opening words, when a member shares a little bit about themselves or about something they are passionate about. This is a time for us to deepen our connections with one another. Today we invite Kara Hirschberger to speak with us.
Good morning, and hello again. It's been a few months since I last gave opening words. I'm hoping at this rate to be up here at least 3 more times this year. There will be a tip jar next time so you can show your true appreciation. Tomorrow is the start of our nation's birthday month. I think, like everyone here, I have mixed feelings about Independence Day. I could be wrong, though. Maybe some of you are really into celebrating the accomplishments of old white male slave owners with loud explosions and hot dogs. For many years, Independence Day was one of my favorite holidays because I firmly believed in the dream of this country. The version of the dream that I believed in was one of fairness, equity, and justice for all. I believe that America was better because of her diversity in geography, ethnicity, and thought. As I've grown older, I've had to reconcile what our nation is with where our nation came from. We have a bloody past. We have done so many things wrong in so many different ways. For example, I'm pretty sure someone in America invented jorts. That's jean shorts for those of you that don't know what jorts are. No offense to those of you that enjoy them, but I stand by my opinion, that was not our finest hour. Honestly, the list of our mistakes is too long and sad to enumerate today, but even after ruminating about all the wrongs in the past, I still have hope for us collectively for America, or America as I like to call her. I still have hope for us because Americans are some of the most stubborn, hard-headed, and dare I say, annoying people on the planet. Many Americans, when faced with hardship, are reluctant to give in to petty haters that look down upon them and think they can't accomplish their goals. Just this year, I attended a platform given by climate scientists who refused to give up the fight against climate change. She explained that change for the better was absolutely possible and that science had solved many problems over the past century with collaboration and cooperation. I don't want to make blanket comparisons between the general population of America and the members and visitors of the society. However, I feel like it's safe to say that we may have a few stubborn, hard-headed, and annoying people here on any given Sunday. Annoying people that approach you to engage in any number of conversation topics. Stubborn people that continue to bring up issues and causes that are vitally important to discuss. And hard-headed individuals that keep coming back to you to get your thoughts and opinions on how we can make this place better. The hard truth about America and perhaps the society is that the constant throughout our history has been change. And change often goes hand in hand with making things better. If you think about it, that's truly what the 4th of July is, a celebration of change. Granted, that change did bring about the displacement and death of millions of Native Americans for the gain of the ruling landowner class. But if you move past that and focus on the here and now, you realize that change started on July 4th, 1776, also brought us to this room to share in this moment together. It's with that sentiment that I invite you to sign up for our 4th of July celebration fundraiser. After all, what is more American than appealing to your emotions to get to your wallet? The fundraising committee would like to invite you to come watch fireworks with us on 4th of July at a condo downtown with a beautiful view of the arch. We would love to have you attend so that we can get to know each other better. All proceeds from the event go to the society. Details about the event, how to register, are posted on flyers throughout the building, and you can also talk to Joellen Forrest downstairs in the Beck Room today after platform to sign up. We're looking forward to engaging in meaningful conversations with you while enjoying beverages and desserts. Space is limited, so sign up soon if you're interested. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Let's welcome Dan back to the stage for our second selection, Nameless Lake. It's a perfect introduction for our next segment, the Mindfulness Minute. So while we're being mindful, you can imagine that nameless lake. Before our main address, we'd like to empty our minds, relax our bodies, and take some mindful, deep breaths. Please join me for 1 minute of mindful breathing. Thank you. Our speaker today was with us last year for Pride Month and had a profound impact on our community as they shared their personal journey with us. They're a social worker and psychotherapist who provides affirming and competent attachment trauma-informed therapy to LGBTQ plus children, teens, adults, and their families. An anti-oppression liberationist at heart, their social activism regarded the rights and humanity of the LGBTQ plus community and it spans nearly 30 years. Currently, they run Align, an education, training, and consultation program that enhances providers' competencies in serving neurodivergent LGBTQ+ clients. Please welcome Kai Miller.
As I sat down to prepare for our time together today, I had a chance to think about authenticity in a way that I had never thought of it before. As a therapist, I often hand out tools to help clients develop emotional literacy. And I realized that I couldn't recall ever seeing authenticity on any emotion wheel or list. And I don't remember learning about the power of authenticity as a grad student. I can't remember a single time when I considered authenticity to be a human emotion. And I've never talked about it in that way with clients either. I think it seemed more to me like a state of being, or maybe something that happens to us. Not something that is felt or experienced, similarly to the other range of emotions that I work with clients exploring. But as I pulled together my thoughts for today, my perspective began to expand, some based on science and studies, and also just based on clinical experience and human connection. And in sharing the sacred space of healing with clients, I've been able to witness the profound power of authenticity that alleviates suffering. Authenticity can bring joy and cultivate connection. And in those sessions, and even beyond those spaces, I've been able to also consider how our society relates to authenticity. I think I need to back up just for a moment, or maybe a few. My name is Kai. Many of you know me as a psychotherapist, educator, consultant, community organizer, activist, and above all else professionally, I'm a social worker, a true social worker. And even though I graduated with my master's in social work relatively recently, just in 2019, I think I've had the heart of a social worker since I was a kid. As a young adult, I canvassed for marriage equality in the state of California, and throughout the years, I've worked on sexual orientation and gender identity change efforts, also known as conversion therapy, in quotes, because it's not empirically supported, and we know that it causes harm to people. More recently, I've tried to protect individual rights to self-determination in the realm of gender-affirming healthcare. My life's passion is being a change maker. And I believe with all of my soul that uplifting human rights, honoring the dignity of all people, and supporting those who belong to traditionally marginalized groups, it's a spiritual calling for me. And so as much as I wish as I could stand here today and separate my professional and personal identities, it's not possible, mainly because what we learn is who we become, what we experience becomes the fabric of our souls. And that's where the notions of social justice lie with me. In a soul that understands life in the margins, what it is to be denied service. 3 weeks ago, I tried to get a prescription filled and was denied at the counter. A couple of months ago, I tried to order a steak at a butcher counter and was told it was closed while they continued to serve other customers. And when I go to bring awareness to it, it's what did I do wrong? It must be assumed that I was rude or unkind, because I really do believe that people are inherently good and they don't want these things to be happening to queer folks. So it's a little bit easier to find another possibility or play the devil's advocate than acknowledge the reality of life in our society, especially over the past 2 to 4 years as hate crimes have been on the increase. So I know what it is to be worried about safety while out listening to music in Nashville with your daughter and nearly experiencing a hate crime that your own child spares you from. I'm a parent, a friend, and chosen family to a very few special people. I love concerts and violins, and very stereotypically, Brandi Carlile. Unexpectedly, I became a Swiftie after one showing of the Eras Tour movie that should have come with a warning, it can change your whole life. And I've spent the last year learning bridges, making friendship bracelets, and wanting to experience my own cruel summer. I'm a trans non-binary human, a lesbian, queer. Some of you know that I was previously known, raised, and performed a feminine identity under the given name Kim. I grew up between Idaho and California, between two sets of parents who loved their little girl deeply. I was sandwiched between two brothers with two blonde pigtails, big brown eyes, and a love for horses. I remember making choreography to George Michael songs and Madonna, and sometimes I got in trouble for that. I went to school with one long cross earring. It's now back in style. And the other short, wearing my brother's shirts, cuffing my sleeves, pegging my pants. And I knew innately that I was different from most of the people in my community. And even though the writing was on all of the walls, I didn't recognize my queerness at the time. People often relay to me that they remember me for my energy and joy that comes with me into rooms that I enter, a bright smile and sometimes mischievous personality. Although it was never outright expressed to me that there was an expectation to perform femininity, the depths of my psyche understood that that was the way to the hearts of people that I loved. Over the years, I received love for being a mother, sister, aunt, and wife. I baked pies and sewed quilts and organized meal trains and volunteered at my kids' schools. Packaged it up by wearing dresses. I had long, blonde hair and always made sure my nails were painted. I remember making intentional purchases to buy dresses that had color in them, because what man wants to see his wife wearing black every day, even though that would have been my choice if I felt like I had one. And I always had something inside me that beckoned, some knowing that Kim wasn't who I was. She just didn't fit. There were feelings of embarrassment every time I heard my given name called at the doctor's office because it didn't feel like it fit. There were feelings of dread when I tried learning how to use makeup or how to style that long blonde hair. And there were feelings of tremendous failure because those things did not come easily to me as they did for other women. And something always just felt really off, really off. And as time went on, I began to notice that I felt more off than I ever had in the past. It started to snowball through my spirit, and eventually I was able to connect with the source of those discomforts and what it meant for me as a person, that deep down, the name and the gender roles non-consensually placed upon me didn't align with my authentic self. And that's why I had such a hard time feeling successful in performing those expectations. I was 44 years old when I learned that my hair actually wasn't blonde. I'd been performing that role, in this case, bleaching my hair as Southern Californians do, for so long that there were literal aspects of myself I didn't even know. So it felt like I had something that was buried deeply and almost hauntingly. I didn't feel safe to connect with that. It didn't feel like there would be benefit to me connecting with that, and there was a tremendous amount of fear that encapsulated that identity. And it was all under the layers of hair dye, long dresses, and fingernail polish. As I came to know myself as Kai, though, a trans non-binary human, I noticed a shift that helped as I started to learn myself, and I connected with the part of me that actually got to wonder what my natural hair color was. I connected with the resentment that I carried, needing to spend 45 minutes a day to look pretty, when I never actually felt comfortable with that word to begin with. I connected with the euphoria of feeling as though you're standing 10 feet taller when walking into a room with short brown hair and a fresh fade. And I connected with the passions in my life, the planets, the stars, astrology, social justice, and expressed it all through my many tattoos I've acquired since then. I connected with the joy that I felt for the first time in my life after gender-affirming surgery that I could wear a button-up shirt and the buttons didn't pull at my chest, reminding me of a body that didn't fit my spirit. I was able to connect with the joy that still sparks in my big brown eyes and the smile that's always been noticed by others, and I now notice it in myself. So this is me. And I found that peace in my home in Kai, in my they-them pronouns, because energy as big as mine was never meant to be shrunk into the binary. I'm more expansive than our society has ever told me I get to be. So last year, as I sat in a hearing room full of politicians positioning to ban gender-affirming healthcare, I remember sitting there and taking intentional moments looking across a sea of brightly blue dyed hair, piercings, tattoos, and the fashion and the personal expressions of those around me. I noticed friends and partners holding each other and parents lovingly support their kids. And as I walked up to the microphone to convey the trauma initiated by these bans for gender-affirming healthcare, greater than affirming somebody's identity will ever be, I cued a second part within myself to a newly positioned witnessing of the trans experience. Because the hearings at that point had focused on the anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation that many trans people experience. And people who don't have a lot of proximity to transness assume that that's something innately given to people who are gender expansive. They pathologize us as mentally ill and label us as confused. And the truth of the matter is that the challenges that we face are due to a society that doesn't understand the harm done by forcing us to live within the confines of a rigid binary, social constructs that are all non-consensually imposed upon us. A society that not only doesn't understand what it is to not feel at home in your body, but also might engage in the wicked dichotomy of subconsciously envying our strength and ability to connect with who we are and express our authenticity. So many of them have simply never been given permission to connect with, understand, or express themselves in any real way. So as I stood in that hearing room, divided by those still confined, and then those who were self-liberated, more so than by political party, I experienced a deep desire to somehow clear all of the political toxic fog so that the people we were literally sharing oxygen with could just see a glimpse of the vibrant humanity in that room. The teens who love going to school, love learning, love their peers, love their teachers, those getting 4.0s, wanting to go to college, some still showing up to school every day despite being bullied and shoved into lockers and being scared to use bathrooms because they love school that much. Those who play instruments and create music and make art and love to sit in parks or play with the dogs they've rescued. The adults who are lawyers and doctors and helpers. Parents, siblings, chosen family. The people who just love having blue hair and enjoy artistic expression and expressing themselves through the clothes that they wear. Those who love a fresh fade, great music, write poetry, and revel in the smell of books from the libraries that are a second home to so many of us in the queer community. I saw a sea of compassionate, deeply feeling, many neurodivergent people who have had to learn to love themselves in a society that just doesn't always. So there will always be a part of me that will grieve the pain that culminates from our collective queer experiences and grieve the reason that we have the word queer to begin with. It's necessary to find a balance and even resilience in things like reclaiming the word queer for our own and finding our power individually and collectively. And to find balance by acknowledging the vulnerability that we extend in showing the world our authentic selves as a radical act of self-love. And importantly, with all of us banded together for queer revolution. The joy that we can find in the reclamation and in the social revolution is coming to be known as the most powerful emotion that can be experienced by humans. Activist Alok Vadmenon frequently speaks about the importance of having enough compassion to break our own hearts. In the transition, not of gender, but the transitioning from a false sense of self to our true selves, a process of grieving and healing that runs parallel with the process that creates the space for love and joy. A powerful agent that can change not only ourselves, our families, and our communities, but more globally, the joy of authenticity, when we can connect with it and use it for good, can change the world. So that takes me back to connecting with authenticity as an emotion. Empirical studies are being published about this, such as the Spain study, measuring the intensity of emotions experienced. They've been able to identify authenticity as the most enjoyable emotion that a human can experience. And to take it a step further, another study was able to measure the frequency of energy that is emitted and leaves the human body when people collectively experience authenticity. And the frequency was higher than any other human emotion that they tested in that study. Sonia Renee Taylor speaks of the sacred, transformational magic of connecting with ourselves in her book, The Body Is Not an Apology. She brilliantly outlines how radical self-love provides a conduit and becomes a tool for social change. Because when we make peace with our own bodies, we can make peace with the bodies of others and break through the cultural indoctrinations of social norms and expectations that have been placed upon us. And then we can help unobstruct that path for people who are facing the same barriers. So as we wrap up Pride Month, I'm not here to issue a reminder. I'm here to sit with my fellow queers, whether we be gay, lesbian, asexual, intersex, gender expansive, bi, pan, two-spirit, Black, white, Indigenous, and all of our global family members, many of us sharing the same journey, or very similar, of pain, grief, and healing. And we can sit together and marvel at what we experience on the other side. A self-love that is so pure that other people notice our glow. A self-regard that allows us to respect others to the degree that we can position consent as one of the most important relational elements in our community. A desire to help other queers live in their own agency as their own relational authorities. And we get to create relationships by design, with intention and great care. We get to cut our hair and wear it in a way that uplifts our spirits and shows the world a little bit about who we are as individuals. We get tattoos that mean all the things, and then we spend years explaining them all to everybody who asks about them. We get to love and celebrate drag performers, and most importantly, honor the Black trans women who have inspired and led an entire liberation movement. We get to give them credit that is due and show up and fight for them as they have fought for us, because we know that the liberation of one means the liberation of all. Free Palestine. We get to be she's and he's and they, thems, or anything that fits our vibe. We get to watch all the baby gays in the Grove on a Saturday night of Pride Month and see so much love. We get to create art, pole dance, perform in theaters, take Broadway. We get to explore our sexuality and how it changes as we explore our sexuality as we unpack our gender and sexuality and the intersections therein.
We celebrate pleasure, fly our rainbow flags, create chosen family, and do all the gay shit. We get to write, listen to, and move to music that is created by us for us. We get to sit in pink pony clubs, drop our mouths at Billie Eilish and Renee Rapp's latest songs, and live in a time of Janelle Monáe and so many ages of pleasure. And above all, we get to experience a type of joy that can change the energetic frequency of this world, and watch as we all rise to the higher worth that we establish for ourselves. So we get to take this moment to collectively acknowledge and remind the world that queer folks are more than the challenges that we experience. And while we enjoy these last moments of Pride Month, we can make sure that we keep connecting with those moments of joy that we experience and connecting with our most authentic selves and queer culture all year long. Because queer joy really is the revolution. Happy Pride.
That was wonderful, thank you. It's amazing to me that authenticity, which should be something we have easily, is such a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to accept in others. It's mind-boggling, but thank you. The Welcome team will now take up a collection to support this society. We rely on the generosity of our members and friends, so please consider donating. If you don't have cash with you today, you can donate at ethicalstl.org/donate or the QR code on the screen behind me. We appreciate anything you are able to offer. If you're interested in joining the Ethical Society or are a visitor and would like to know more about the Society, there's a table downstairs called Visitors Connect and some fancy new signage to help you find it. Members and our new membership coordinator, Katie Megan, will be around to answer your questions. I have a couple of announcements. The first one, Dee Elfiki, a former longtime member and dear friend of many current members, died on Thursday from an aggressive and rare form of cancer. Funeral arrangements will be provided by the St. Louis Cremation in St. Peter's, including visitation today, Sunday, from 2 to 5. Details can be found on their website, including Dee's wish list that donations be made to the Ethical Society of St. Louis or to Annie's Hope. And to reiterate and bookend the earlier comments, to come celebrate our country's birthday with fireworks, dessert, and fun Thursday, July 4th, in case you didn't remember the date. Watch the July 4th celebrate St. Louis fireworks from a condo with a spectacular view of the arch. Please BYOB and a dessert to share. The event is open to people 14 years and older. Cost $25 per person. Parking in the building is available for $5, and there's a Metrolink station in close walking distance. It's right across the street. Registration information is located in the flyers throughout the building, or you can register with Joellen Forrest in the Becker Room after the platform. The event promises to be a fun evening and a great time to get together with friends, and all proceeds go to the Ethical Society of St. Louis. Let's welcome Dan back for his final musical selection, Summit. Thank you for sharing your wonderful creations with us. Thank you all for being here today, for each other and for yourselves. I hope today's platform helped you feel more connected to one another and motivated you to implement the core values more in your day-to-day lives. I invite you to spend more time in community today. Our speaker, Kai, will be available for additional questions downstairs in the Becker Room. If you don't know where that is, follow the crowd down the steps or down the elevator. All are welcome. Grab a yellow mug if you're new and would like to invite conversation. A reminder that the second Sunday of each month is an after-platform Q&A session called Donuts with the Director, so look for that next month. Have a great rest of your day and a good week. Thank you for coming.